Hi, Chloe.
Good morning, Angela. How are
We're
you?
back again. I'm good.
Good. It's so you're busy with your course, but you're still keeping going with all your lovely work that you're doing as well. Are you managing okay, enjoying it?
Yeah, I realise how important the diary is, though.
Yeah.
Without my diary, I think it's all going to fall apart. So,
And reminders,
getting
have you got reminders popping up all the time?
reminders on
Notifications?
everything. So,
Good.
and
Good.
how I'm getting it all done, I'm generally working in the evening until about 9:30, and then going again. So, yeah.
If that's the way it works, then it's fine. But don't frazzle yourself too much, will you?
No, I managed to go for a sea swim on Sunday, though.
Oh, I bet that sorted you out.
Oh, it was lovely. Really sunny. It's so busy down there. It's like a summer's day almost.
I know. Last time I went to the seafront, just to walk along the prom, on a weekend, it was heaving. I put my mask on. I thought, it felt that busy. I thought I should have a mask on.
Yeah, it was really busy. What about you?
Yeah, all good. I'm working for this lovely client, this vegan business, which is lovely. And I've taken on a course to do.
Hey!
So I'm writing this specification guide for the BIID with fellow members from the committee. And one of the members has taken this course at Parsons New School, which is in New York. And I was asking about it, and it's just what I want to do more of. So it's more human-centric design. It's a semester, and it starts today. And it's healthy materials and sustainable building. So
Explain, what do you get out of it? Are you doing it for a qualification or to learn
you get a
something?
qualification at the end. It's a certificate of completion. It's their own design course, but it's along the lines of the Well Building Standard, Fit Well. It's more human-centric design, the effect on materials and sustainability.
Cool.
So, yeah, really excited and just what I need. So I'll be working till 9 and 10 at night to fit this in as well, but just for a term, so I can manage that.
Well, and we've discussed it before, I think learning all of the time is so important. Even 15, 20 years in our careers, it's important to pick up new skills, advanced already, skills that you've already got and things like that. So
yeah, definitely. You just can't stand still with it. If you enjoy it, great. You don't feel resentful working into the evenings and things anyway. So
no, it doesn't feel like work.
It's all part of growing, and growing is always good, moving forwards.
Do you think, before we talk, what we're talking about today, interior design, tips to becoming interior designers? Or?
Yeah, I thought it'd be good for us to help people who are interested in, sorry, is that notification? That are interested in, following what we do, but kind of helping them along the way, giving them some tips and talk about our paths. I think it would be good to share.
Okay, so do you want to kick off? Tell me how you started, or what do you want to?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, I think we were both very lucky with our timing of when we got into the industry. So for me, I feel very fortunate. So I went the traditional formal route. So I did a art foundation at Art College in Eastbourne, and then I
did Eastbourne. I went to Eastbourne.
Did you?
Probably the same time as you, doing an art foundation.
Well, I would have known you if you were there the same time as me. It's only a small group anyway. Were you doing the art foundation course?
Yeah, I did art foundation.
We must have missed each other by a year or something silly.
Yeah. Were you in the same class as a guy called Martin who ended up with the teacher?
Oh, Martin was our teacher, yeah.
No, so he was a student who ended up with the teacher. Oh, anyway, we're going to that later.
Martin Levy-Nichols.
I don't know.
Yeah, and Sylvia Levy-Nichols. Anyway, they.
Sorry.
So this, late 80s. So I think I was there 1988 to 1989, something like that.
Right.
Don't know when you were there, but I would have known you if you were there. So
I went there straight after school.
oh right, you'd been. So you would have been there when I was doing my A level. So I got A level in design, art and design before to get into the art college, and then from the art foundation, they sort of, you know, you've only been there since September, and in January you are looking at your course, your degree course, going and looking at. Then it was polytechnics and art colleges, and kind of they're preparing you for applying for the process of you know, joining your degree. It seems very early on in your course to be deciding, when the whole thing about a foundation course is that you try a bit of everything and then specialise in what you want to do. I don't know how was it like that when you were there?
I found foundation course really good because we did textiles, we did graphics, we did fashion, and all of those disciplines, as you know, teach you about shape, form, colour, space, context, and things like that. So that kind of gives you a grounding for all of those different specialisms, and then to go on from there. So
it's so lovely to do all those things as well, just to, you know that you might not be specialised in ceramics, but how lovely to have that opportunity to kind of learn about it. I loved it as well.
yeah.
So from there I went to Trent Polytechnic, which is now Nottingham Trent University, and I actually loved but two courses at the same time, and I had to decide. So it was interior design or furniture design, and I just really loved making things, so I opted for furniture design, and that was a 4-year degree. It was the sister course to interiors, so there were some crossovers, and I spent 2 terms in industry. So our furniture course was about large scale manufacturing of furniture rather than the sort of John Makepeace, you know, lovely hand carved, you know, we learnt about it all, but we were sort of designing for mass production kind of end of it.
Less vernacular and more mass produced.
Yeah. So it was really good that we got that opportunity to go out in industry, because I went to work for somebody who was a proper designer craftsman, and you know, we'd had the storm in Brighton, hadn't we? That kind of felled all those
1986.
trees. Yeah, and so this craftsman, who he'd kind of got a load of the wood, and so I worked all the way through the process from converting logs and seasoning timber, learning all about that, through to designing and making furniture, finishing furniture, exhibiting furniture, doing marketing. You know, I learned the whole lot, and it was a really useful education.
How do you think that stood you in good stead for doing interior design?
Oh, it's been great experience, because I mean, the reason I've called my company Materialise Interiors was because I am so interested in materials, and you know, we learned about materials and finishes. It was really interesting, and people were becoming more environmentally aware in the 80s. Feels like things haven't changed enormously. You know, we were still talking all the same things then, and so the sort of recycling, and I
didn't have a clue about all of that in the 80s.
Didn't you?
No, for me it was more of a high power, get your mobile phone. I mean,
oh really?
Mobile phone was in the
80s.
90s. Yeah, shoulder pads. I rocked it all.
Different ends of it now then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, my final degree piece, one of the things that my final project was recycle. It was recycled Tetra Pak, but it's made into a board, and I turned that into some stalls for my final degree show. So, you know, recycled materials, and thinking about where things have come from and the processes. Yeah, it's loads of crossovers, and of course I do like to design furniture for my clients as well, so it's it's been really useful. But then for me, so you went and did a
I
graphics
did.
course.
I did graphic design. Now that's so handy because what that helps me to do is to communicate my vision. So each time, whenever I do a presentation, if I'm trying to convey infographics, information, that's information graphics, things like that, I have the skills to learn all of that. So, I mean, what would you say technologically, how was that different to, have you picked up any skills like CAD or anything since, or is that a new thing?
Oh, I mean, so doing furniture design, it's, you know, loads of drawing, and so being the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, we were still on drawing boards. So I learned properly how to draw on a board. And then when I graduated, my first job was in a drawing office for a furniture company down here on the south coast. And they were on drawing boards. And then maybe 6 months into working there, the company moved everybody onto CAD. So I learned CAD on the job, and you know, loved it. And then, you know, as you go along, you learn new programs. So I've learned probably about 4 CAD programs, and I've settled on Vectorworks is the one that I use all the time now. But yeah, I'm really happy that I learned on the drawing board, I have to say. And I would definitely encourage people to, even if they can't get themselves set up with a computer and CAD, I mean, SketchUp is free, and you can draw 2D and 3D on it. So it is accessible, but learning how to draw on paper.
Yeah, there's nothing better. I did a lecture to interior design students in Brighton Met College.
Yeah,
and
when was that? Quite recently?
No, about a year ago, but I've got one coming up in February. I'm doing it again. Yeah. So the thing I taught them, well, we talked about, was like MasterChef. You have to learn the classics first. Yeah. So you have to learn where things are from. You have to learn about fine artists. You have to learn about architects, product designers. You have to learn about the environment, learn all of the basics so that you can then go on to have your own signature look, or be able to give the best, you know, design possible. I think it's really important, which we discussed, to always pick up new skills, you know, all the time. If I was employing someone to work for me doing interior design, they would have to have computer-aided design, Photoshop, InDesign, all of those things. Because for me to make use of them at the start, they have to be able to sort of, you know, technically go on. And then the more they get involved in projects, then I would look to do more stuff. I think it's really important for people to learn those skills nowadays, just to translate ideas. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, but not to, you know, the president of the BIID is really encouraging people to learn to draw. You know,
it's essential.
Yeah, hand drawing, and it just having that background. And because, you know, we know that when we do things on the computer, you can make it look really, really good, but it's kind of, you lose that sense of somebody's skill as well. So it's kind of to know and learn all of it is really, really vital.
Yeah, I'm talking about sort of easier employability rather than,
sure.
I think, learning how to draw, and more so concepts and how to start a project and how to imagine a project.
Yeah.
You know, that's really important as well.
The free thinking that you need to have at the beginning, you know, not be confined by the way you want to express that or convey that idea to a client. Just drop all of that and just think really clearly and freely about the concept and the brief.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even if people have come to interior design from other sort of aspects of design, you still know the the process of taking a brief and, you know, referring back to the brief. Things,
What do you
the way...
think about now the fact that influencers and marketeers are becoming the next interior designers?
I think I think it's false. I just don't think it's helpful. I think it makes people think it's way too easy to do, and that, you know, we both know, much as we love the design aspect of being an interior designer, that is actually quite a small amount, and you do need to know an awful lot of other things in order to be an interior designer. You know, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with contracts, and it's things that people could get themselves in a mess with if they haven't learned how to do it the proper way. Just throwing some ideas out there, I think it's a little bit dangerous, actually.
Yeah, so I think it's about professional practices as well, and people trusting you, whether it's a business or a residential project, with their money, and for you to give them the best solution you can. You know, and I'm a big believer, anyone can shop well, anyone can go, oh, you know, few cushions and colours. And that's a whole interior design. If we go into different specialisms, that's a whole specialism in itself. I think it's hard because people don't really know how to engage an interior designer or what it means. A lot of my clients have got really good tastes and could quite happily make a lot of decisions themselves. But the reason they take me on board is to problem solve and to not make mistakes and to get it done on time, on budget, in the right way. So,
yeah, so I mean, anyone entering into this field thinking that it is all about design, you know, we're both examples of that. I mean, I love to work with clients who've got strong ideas of what they want. I love being the person that helps to make that all happen, like you're describing. You know, you can't come into this thinking that you're going to stamp your taste onto everything. An interior designer isn't just about that front end concept, it's about the execution and delivery.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of the conduit for getting ideas. So I start each project with a questionnaire, and so from that questionnaire we can go back to that at a later date and say, okay, this is what we discussed and this is why I gave you what I gave you. So it stops making mistakes and going in a different direction as well.
I think we should do one of these all about onboarding clients, taking briefs. I think that would be quite useful for people to watch. I don't know about you, but
no, absolutely.
But for people who are kind of, you know, getting into interior design now, it's not easy, and it's not a particularly affordable exercise either. I'm really grateful that we were able to kind of study and have fees paid for us. Now it's not like that at all, and I can understand why people might just do short courses and kind of try it and go out there themselves and try and be a designer. I would really definitely kind of encourage people not to sort of plough into that themselves, being a designer straight from a short course. It's, you know, you need proper insurance, you need proper experience. There's a lot of pitfalls out there, and I think people think because of these influences it's all very easy and attainable, and I worry that people will get themselves in a mess. I don't know about you, but my degree was brilliant. I loved it, but there's still so much more I needed to learn when I left. And yes, we always talk about ongoing learning, but even to, you know, I felt that a master's would have been great, and then maybe I would have felt really set up for all of it really well. But for me, I needed to go out, work in industry for a significant amount of time before even thinking about setting up on my own. And I would really encourage people to do that.
I also think you need to charge accordingly as well. So with pricing, you kind of charge for your experience. I've got 20 years experience, So I'm going to charge a different rate. I should be charging a different rate to somebody with no experience or starting out.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, pricing is a really, you know, a really crucial thing. You should, things like the accreditations, like the BIID, will help people to know how much interior designers should charge, a rate roughly. But also it's about feeling that, you know, what all of your terms and conditions should be outlined very clearly and what it includes as well.
Yeah, there's a lot involved, and yeah, I would encourage people to definitely go and get that experience with someone else, learn all the aspects from within a company. I think to join a large company where they kind of have a career path for you around their business and just gain as much experience in that as possible. I mean, you know, but even to get there, I know is very difficult for people. I know these courses are kind of like, you know, if you can get on a course at a university, your fees are going to be something, you know, like £10,000 a year, something like that. There's private institutions like KLC. A lot of designers come into the BIID through KLC, and they're charging, you know, £5,000 a term. There's the Interior Design School, who is also associated with the BIID. You know, it's big costs, but you're getting high quality tuition, and it's, you know, you are, and it is probably very intensive as well. But I just think about all these people with talent who just aren't able to get anywhere near to these institutions because it's just so expensive. And
I don't think sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I completely see why charities like United in Design exist, who are trying to get people from diverse backgrounds, you know, into our industry, because it is a very expensive industry to educate yourself to get into.
Yeah, I'm going to be working with around teenagers, young teenagers, taking them for arts and crafts lessons and teaching them about design as well. So again, you know, kids who can't necessarily afford to go and join a course, or their parents can't afford it for them. So yeah, so there's lots of ways to help as well and to give back.
Where's that, Angela?
That was through my the lecturer at Brighton Met as well. So
oh, great. So yeah, there's further educational institutions like, you know, down here we've got the Met. So there's lots of courses that you can do that aren't university courses as well, you know, and those are much more affordable.
For those quick little sessions where you're gauging, even if you get one or two bits of information, it's invaluable. It's really good. I mean, what about age? I mean, obviously I'm of an age, and I've just started university. Yes. With 19-year-olds. It's you know, I must say, my insecurities at the start were, can I do this because I'm older, and what do I want to get from it? It's just, do you think people go into education and changing careers later on now? Because I do. I don't think 18, 19 is the time to choose your career path necessarily.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know about you, but part of my kind of experience growing of being an interior designer was to work on some of my own homes and buy and sell some homes, you know, and work on them myself. So yeah, kind of, I think interior design comes more naturally as you are older. I think you're able to talk to your clients easier, you know, because I think for me it's just felt easier as I've got older, and it's not just about the experience I've gained, it's just, you know, your dialogue with clients, your kind of understanding of their lives, and I don't know, so I can completely understand why people come into interior design later. And I mean, architecture, wow, I mean, you are taking on a meaty subject.
But the thing is, with architecture, I can circle back and concentrate on interiors if I want to. I can go into art history. I can, do so many things. You know, architects and architecture, you're the lead designer, as it were. You know, you've got so many years of experience to do it. I now was the only time, talking about age, that I could actually go to university, because my children are now finishing their university. So now I haven't got to pay for them. So now's my time as such.
Yeah.
So my son's just completing his master's. My daughter's doing her final year in veterinary medicine. So she's applying for jobs now as well. And I'm lucky because my business is paying for me to go. Otherwise, again, it's how would I afford it? So
I know that it's it can be quite inaccessible.
What would you say? What's the biggest question you get asked as an interior designer? Mine is, do people ever not like what you do?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that comes up all the time. And no, the answer is definitely not, because we've gone through such a long process to get to the stage of the presentation, as in lots of the questions answered right. This is why we're going that route. So no, that's the answer to that, because everything's been thought through properly.
I mean, you're kind of, it's a huge amount of communication. So unless you're the type of designer that completely takes a brief, goes away, doesn't communicate with the client for a month and comes back and then they don't like it.
But then that's a hobby. That's not work. You know, working is your employed to do a job.
But I don't like working in that way, and I rarely do it unless the client really wants me to. But I kind of, as I take a brief, I'm talking to the client constantly. So, you know, you are constantly readjusting as you go. It's not kind of this big delivery of an idea and it's kind of like, well, that's not what I asked for.
What are people most interested when they ask you about being an interior designer?
Well, you know, I get so many people just saying, oh, that must be so lovely. And I absolutely love what I do, but it's another part of this Instagram kind of TV, because there weren't TV interior designers when we were choosing our courses.
Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen and
but do you think it was a bit later? I think that was in the 90s. I think that all happened. So interior design was just called interior design, you know, and now we've got things like interior architecture and all these specialisms, which is great. But things, you know, it's just a lot simpler. But yeah, now people have got this glamorous image of interior design. And yes, I guess there are those sort of glamorous interior designers that people will see, you know, the sort of star celebrity types. But it's a lot. I have to just tell people about all the other parts of it that you know you have to know about, you have to keep up to date with. You know, there's a lot of
building regulations,
not
planning.
So glamorous. Yeah, exactly.
How do you feel about interior designers being accredited?
Well, I think anything to make it clear for clients to choose people and to understand their skills is a good thing. So if there's confusion and blurriness about what a particular interior designer's role is, it's hard for clients to distinguish. So yeah, I think an accreditation is important.
I think it's essential because it stops people, anyone can just call themselves an interior designer, whereas not everyone can call themselves an architect. And that's because there's no, you know, you've got REBA, whereas there's no real accreditation apart from ones that you apply for. There's no ones, that make you do an accreditation to do interior design.
So, you know, we talked about this before, but I'll say it again in case people haven't seen it. But to be a BIID registered interior designer, it isn't a kind of like you pay a fee, you're in. You have to be interviewed. You have to submit, you know, work. It's quite an entry process.
Yeah, so you're accredited, and so am I as well. And that's important. And I don't think people know to ask for that. That's what I mean. So
no,
Yeah.
Actually, you know, in terms of this conversation about becoming an interior designer, I don't think people necessarily think about joining the BIID as a student. And just to sort of tell people, it's free to be a student member. You get your first year of being, you know, an industry membership for free as well. And as part of being a member, you get to access all the CPD, so all that extra learning. There's they do mentoring, they do portfolio mentoring. So when you've qualified and you want to go out, you know, to interviews, they'll look at your portfolio. There's lots of assistance there for students, and I would really encourage people to join. They do a student challenge every year, which it's just been announced, it's just been launched. So universities, establishments can send in a group of students to enter this challenge, and all the details are on the BIID website at the moment. So there's, you know, there's lots of things for students in these professional bodies. So it's worth not just thinking that's for when you get that job.
But I think that people need to know there's lots of different interior designers as well. There's stylists, there's constructions or architectural interior designers. There's ones that do everything. There's vegan interior designers. There's, you know, so what, you don't have to be a broad, do everything. You can specialize. You can specialize, in styling, in lots of different things.
Yeah, and if you are interested in one of those specialisms from the outset, then obviously seek out the courses that specialise in that. I know that sustainability, for example, isn't the norm in most interior design. It's not a standard module, it's an add-on. So kind of make sure that if you have a deep interest in something like that, that the course you're going to do has enough content in it to kind of reflect what you need to learn. And the vegan design course is an online course, the one that I took. I mean, a lot of courses now are online. It's so much easier.
Do you have to be a vegan to be a vegan interior designer?
No, no. That's the thing. You know, you're a pet lover. You might eat meat. You might not. I don't know.
I don't eat meat.
But you know, you still. If I told you, if you learnt the things on the course, you probably wouldn't want to have downfilled things in your home, and you know that doesn't mean you can't.
It's just a different type of knowledge.
It's kind of like, I always think, because I've always felt strongly about animal testing of as cosmetics, toiletries, you know, cleaning products. People have wanted to avoid those for years and years, but their diet isn't necessarily married up with that. It would be great if it is, but it doesn't matter if it isn't. You know, it's kind of like that's one area. You don't. It's like it's not an all or nothing.
But sustainability as well. It's things like kitchen designs. That really annoys me. That, you know, am I allowed to say people's kitchen company like Howdens? It's all formaldehyde. So you might be able to get it cheaper, but you're filling your house with formaldehyde, which is dangerous for you and your children.
But it's not just people. That company. I mean, that's a standard.
That was an example.
Board, you know, any kitchens that you buy, you know, builders merchants kitchens, most board materials have got formaldehyde in. I mean,
kitchens definitely don't have formaldehyde. And then finally, what about being authentic? Authentic's a different word. At uni, we have to very much learn about plagiarism before we do anything, about crediting people's works. But I still see interior design companies now that use other people's work and copy other people's work without saying who the source is. And there's a lot of those around, and that's just not right. That is plagiarism.
I know. There's being influenced by something, you know, and kind of seeking out, researching, and then there's copying. You know, it's a no. You just don't do it. And even down to people's Instagram, and sharing photos that are of their own projects, and if they're not, make sure it's really clear, because yes, it's lovely to show a style that you're interested in, but be very upfront about it, and honest, because people will soon find you out.
So how do you start a project? I mean, people ask this all the time, as in you get a new project, and then where is there one place that you always start with, or do you?
I think we should save
way.
this for another whole
lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thing.
I think it would be really helpful for people to kind of know about that. So let's sort of do a full session on that, like onboarding and starting a project.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
All right then. But yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Any things that you want to add about doing interior design as a profession?
No, well, just just as everything moves online, just make the most of all this online resource. A lot of it is more affordable for people to do. I always feel awful because I can't offer work experience because I work from home. There's no space. I'm very used to working on my own. I love to do all of it, but there might be things that people can be getting work experience online from companies like me. There's opportunities that don't always involve sitting next to someone in an office. There might be other ways that people can gain some experience. I don't know about you, but I get approached quite a lot for people wanting work experience.
All the time, and I have done it, and I can do it as well, because I've got the facilities to do it, as in the showroom and the warehouse and everything else. But I think no question ever sending me a message and asking me things, but being honest, say I'm learning and this is what I want to know. Can you help? I can always say no, but invariably I'll say yes, because we've all been there and we think, I just need to ask somebody with more experience how to do it. And I do get approached quite a bit for that, and it's nice to help people. So
absolutely. And if I can't help somebody with work experience as such, I can help. I've helped with dissertations. I've helped with, I'm offering mentoring, especially for diverse background students and young people. So there's other things that we can do to help young and new designers and people.
I hate the word young. REBA call all architects young architects, and I'm going to write to REBA and say,
oh yeah,
because there's no such thing. I'm an age, and I'm
you're right
doing it, and to say young is really annoying.
New
or just designer.
They're trying to indicate that it's somebody that's new to the industry, aren't they? Yeah, young is not the word.
No, exactly.
Well, new designers is always, I was lucky to be in new designers all that time back in the early 90s, but they don't call it young designers, they call it new designers. It should be new.
Yeah. One tip
emerging,
yeah. Growing. I don't know. We'll think about that one on our next chat. One thing I would always say is just align your core values with what you do. Don't work for people who don't align with your core values. Don't do things that don't align with your core values, and think about it shouldn't be disjointed from what you believe in. It should be a constant, and that way you find your own identity and voice. So I think that's been the most helpful thing to me, is I wouldn't work with people who I don't agree with in any way, or put my name to something as well. Yeah. So
well, and that's such an important thing to end it on.
Yeah, and yeah, as I say, people think, I need the money, I'll get the job. That will always come back to bite you, and stay away from it.
Yeah, and it circles back round to authenticity, doesn't it? Enjoying your job, feeling right in the right place, and working for the right people that you have respect for, and Yeah, absolutely. Really good
Yeah.
advice.
Right, are we done for this week?
I think so, but I look
Can I
forward to
just
seeing you
say,
in a couple of weeks.
I've actually got a onesie tracksuit.
Brilliant.
Love it.
That's good.
I'm now wearing onesies to work.
Is that because you're a student?
Yeah, I'm allowed to. I'm a young architect.
Yes. Oh, it's lovely talking to you, Angela.
Okay, and yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks with something like onboarding or...
Yeah, let's do that. I think that would be a good subject.
Okay, all right. See you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye, Chloe. Bye.
Bye.